So if God had better rules, would it make him more credible? Not necessarily. But still, like if the God in the religion had like nothing negative, everything was positive, um, would people worship him more? Maybe, but still, obviously, there'd be a lot of questions still unanswered. Like, where did it come from? What created it? What's his purpose? Um, you know, still be a bunch of questions. But that being said, so many people believe in the God, so maybe it wouldn't have more credibility. Still have a huge chunk of people believing in God, so I think even if we didn't know how it all started, I think obviously if we had a better God that had nothing negative, and it made sense, and it just wouldn't kill for killing, for such a simple, crazy things like because he didn't like the fire was started, because there's like, out of the 2.3 million deaths, there's like really some deaths that are just totally bizarre. Why would God kill, like, for starting a fire or something? Just crazy. God, like, has an anger issue. So I think if there's nothing negative in the religion books, not only that, if there was no evil created, everything was good. But no matter, like I said, if the God was a different God in the Bible, and like there was no evil, everything's created good, and it didn't explain how existence started, it still wouldn't be good enough. The eternal God, if it created everything, wouldn't even have to tell how existence started. Not only that, so like if the God was, you were free. So like if the God just always existed, and he wasn't jealous or whatever, it wasn't jealous, and he didn't care if you worship him. The bottom line is, it all comes down to how existence started. If the books are false, and the book couldn't tell, if the book was written by God and it couldn't tell how existence started, it's people will still doubt it. Now, if the book told specifically how existence started, and it was backed up by science, and filled in the gaps what science couldn't make, then that God would have absolutely more convincing evidence. From that point, from nothing negative, all those crazy laws, no slavery, no rape, no murder, no, just a good God, and wouldn't care if you worship him. Now, if that God could fill all those gaps and explain all that, and it was backed up by science, and the gaps that weren't filled by science was totally specifically explained in that book, then that eternal God would have a lot more credibility. But no matter what, still one question unanswered. And no matter if that was true, there will still be doubters, because it boils down to one question: where did your God come from? How did it get here? What created it? How could an eternal creator just pop out of the blue? That would be the problem. So no matter if it was a different God in the book that did everything right, nothing negative, no evil, it still leaves that one question. Unless it said in exactly, specifically how it got created or what created it, and then explain the whole thing, then that would fill up any gaps. Then there could be eternal creator, And hell, we wouldn't even need science if that was the case. Just imagine if there was an eternal creator that could just do anything at any time. How amazing would that be? If we were dying, he could just bring us back. If we had illnesses, it just could bring us back. If we had decapitated limbs, it could just heal it. It could do anything. Imagine, no evil, and if you were sick or whatever, but then again, the crazy contradicting thing is, because no matter how much you dumb it down, if there was an eternal creator and it was bound by the laws, omniscient, omnipresent, all-knowing, and it could just do anything. Remember, the master of masters could do anything. It didn't create evil. It wouldn't create sickness. It wouldn't create, so nobody would get sick. Everybody could live forever. There would be nothing evil. Everything would just be blissful. But like I said, it would have to depend on how that eternal creator was defined. I mean, it could be a lot of different ways. It could have been, so like we have a different eternal creator. So like if it was, it was all good eternal creator, nothing was evil. So like if it's an all good eternal creator, but people could still get sick. People could still have tragedy, even though there was no evil, because God decided that maybe He didn't want people to live forever. So no matter how much you dumb it down, you can never get a perfect God. You can never get a reasonable God, because it would never make sense. It just would never make sense, no matter what. And I'll still go back to that one question: what created God? Where did it come from? No matter if all that stuff was in the book. So there still would be doubters. But like I said, if in that book it explained everything, how all existence started very specifically, and it was backed up by science, and then what science couldn't explain, it filled it in. Because remember, this book is eternal. It's forever. It knows all existence to the end of time, whether it's 1 billion years. And it explained how it all started. But you can always divide this God into different ways. An all evil God, an all good God, an all semi-good God. It kind of just, and even that leaves an infinite regression, even if there was one God, because nobody could define it. I mean, what personality would it have? Would it be just all personalities? See, once you throw the God in there, no matter what, it just complicates the hell of everything. Like I said, the universe, all existence, is so complex. This creator has to be even more complex. So in actuality, it can never be possible for a God to exist. Even if there was no starting point. The only way that God could exist, the eternal creator, could exist, would have to fill so many gaps. Because an all-knowing creator, humans wouldn't have questions, because everything would be answered. Remember, the God is all-knowing, omniscient, omnipresent. This means humans would never have any question. And if humans always had questions to even ask God, even if it existed, and so many people have different questions, so many or doubts. It's kind of like the person, when I'm watching this video about heaven, describing heaven, this person in the comments was like, it was describing like it was Metropolis. The person in the comments was like, damn it, I don't want a metropolis, I want the countryside, So in other words, God could never fulfill everyone's needs, even if it existed. Everybody either would be going crazy, anarchy, because if God couldn't fulfill, if God created humans and gave us brains, unless see, it just makes it so much complicated when you put God in the picture. Unless if God gave everybody's brain, the same exact capacity. If everybody had the same exact capacity, but this, it still leaves a problem because, in other words, we would kind of be like robots, in a sense. We could only think to a certain degree. So, like I said, there can never really be an eternal creator that will fulfill everyone's needs, no matter if it existed. Because people have questions. Think about it. There's what, billion people in the world? Everybody has different questions. Everybody have different beliefs. Like I said, like when I was watching the heaven video, the people was describing heaven. The guy in the comments said, like, I don't want a metropolis. I want in the countryside. This person said, oh, heaven sucks. I don't want it like this. This person said, I want heaven to be like this. So in other words, God can never fulfill everyone's needs, and everybody probably would probably go have anarchy and rebel. So maybe even if a God did exist, the world still would be in chaos. Unless God could limit everybody's brains. But even if God limited everybody's brains, we'd be like robots. So, I guess once you put in an eternal dictator, you're ruled by an eternal dictator, you can never satisfy everybody. Nobody will ever be satisfied. And so I'm glad there is no God. Because we don't have an eternal dictator. We don't have to tell, nobody's telling us what to do, how to live. And that's why a lot of people are happy from freedom for religion. They're like, I don't have to be controlled. I don't have to, I can do what I want. I don't have to be, I don't have to pray. I don't have to, I can eat whatever food I want. I can wear what I want. I can marry. I can have sex when I want. And still they know what's right. Of course, not to kill, even though the commandments say it. So, I bet people haven't even thought about this. I just thought about this. It's something different, something new video. So yeah, like I said, even if Eternal Creator existed, and it was it turned out it was a good Eternal Creator, nothing negative, no killing, no evil. It still wouldn't be perfect, and the perfect could actually be chaos, from everybody having different views. I mean, I've read where some people said heaven sucks, I'd rather go to hell. I want to see what the hell looks like. Yeah. So, I mean, even if things are described as evil, everybody has different beliefs, everybody has a different system. Some people don't like good, some people like evil music, some people like good music. Some people just like a medium. You can never satisfy anybody if this eternal creator existed. And it's actually good that we don't have an eternal creator, because we can find out how everything existed, and we're just not ruled by eternal creator. The only reason eternal creator would be good, if it was all good, if it let you, and you don't have to worship it, and you don't have to, it wasn't, it's just all good, no evil in the world, it would just be always there for you. If you were sick, whatever, if you have problems, it would cure everything. But that being said, if the eternal creator makes everything from the past, present, and future, then the eternal creator could create just everything everything perfect. Therefore, there would be no need for sickness. Nobody would ever get sick. Everybody could live forever. But even, like I said, it would never be perfect for anybody, because even though everything was, if everything was perfect, people would be like, well, I don't want to live forever and ever and ever and ever. See, you can't satisfy everybody, even if it's perfect. I think there's a good analogy. There's this movie called Pleasantville with Tobey Maguire, and he lived in this perfect society. Everything was perfect. And like the milk was delivered. It was like a 50s society. Everybody won the basketball game. Everybody never missed a shot. And then Tobey Maguire was like, but everything was like in black and white. Tobey Maguire was like, well, don't you want to see what's different? Don't you want to see what's like contradictions? Don't you want to see what's evil? Don't you want to see, because everything was just too perfect, and he kind of went nuts. And so when he came there, he wanted people to see the differences because people's minds were so closed. But actually, that created kind of an anarchy because that disrupted the whole system. You know, it turned out everything was just like a good and evil, just kind of like we live today. And you know, the milk wasn't delivered on time. Nobody won the basketball games all the time. The food wasn't delivered perfectly. Everybody didn't get the paper at the same time. Everybody didn't get work at the same time. So these are the reasons why, even if eternal creator existed, there would be no need for one, and it would cause problems. And nothing truly can be perfect, you know, because everybody would want advancements. Just imagine, like, if we were stuck in the 90s, but everything was perfect, right? No evil. Everything was perfect. We're stuck in the 90s. This means the technology could not develop, advance. People would go crazy. It'd be like, you know, I mean, everybody, well, at least some people would be like, man, I wish things were different. I wish there was like a little chaos. I wish there was a little, you know, excitement. People will go crazy. So there can never really be a truly perfect existence. So this is the reason why. Even if there was an eternal creator was different, if the Bible was all good, no evil in the world, it would still never be perfect. Unless we were robots. But if we were robots, that would be crazy. We would have we couldn't live a normal life. And even if we were robots, people have questions, and people will never be satisfied. So that's why there can never be a perfect eternal creator. The world will never be perfect. And it's good that there's really no eternal creator, because it would just be messed up. I guess maybe one circumstance, if there was an eternal creator, that could fulfill everybody's needs. But then again, we're talking about like, what, billions of people? But you could fulfill someone's needs, but then this person's needs wouldn't be fulfilled. And if this person needs to be fulfilled, this other one wouldn't like it and would want the other time it was. In other words, if God could alter time, space, years, the future, this person was happy, but this person is not happy. This person wants the way it was before. This person wants it. Just the infinite regression, not only infinite regression of God's, infinite regression of wants and needs. It will never be able to satisfy everybody's needs, no matter if it could alter time, no matter if it could alter years. Because one person would like it this way, another person would like it this way, another person would like it this way. Kind of just be crazy. So I think you're seeing where I'm going with that. So infinite regression of deities, where did it come from, how to get there, even if it existed. But not only that, the infinite regression of people's wants and needs. You know, you can never satisfy anybody.